And we are live. Hey, Concrete.
Hey, Danny girl, what's going on with you?
Honey Hump Day. Ready to
It is,
play?
it is, it is. Oh, okay. Say what now? How is your
Yes.
how's your week been?
It has actually been really, really super duper productive. So it's been really productive. So I'm pleased with that. Got a couple things going on this weekend since they done freed Mississippi, honey. Um
Y'all free at last.
Free at last, baby. Free at last. We all gonna be sick as hell. But before I get off into that, well, how's your week
Mhm.
going?
My week is going good. It's been extremely busy. I don't feel like I've had much time to stop and breathe. However, it's been a good week. Despite all of that, I've just literally from sun up to sundown, I'm like running, doing 10 million things. And yeah, I'm ready for the weekend.
Oh, what you got going on this weekend? Mm.
Nothing. That's why I'm ready for it.
You ain't gonna do
I
nothing?
no, I'll probably do some cleaning and running some errands, and that's about it. Like I don't have any like real serious plans. So, but I'm looking forward to that. Like the fact that I don't have a ton of stuff to do, just a couple little small things and do some like deep cleaning, and I'm happy about that. That's like the kind of weekend that I need.
Yeah, you are my little Jamaican friend, honey.
I don't want to be anymore. I want to I want to hang up my hat and call it quits.
Lord of mercy. Long live the creek, honey. That's
Funny
how concrete
MOT.
be over there working, honey.
Hmm.
Yes. But other than that, what else is going on?
Not much. You tell me what's been going on with you. I'm actually going to switch my profiles. I don't want. Last time when I had both profiles on, it started making my microphone and stuff delayed. So I'm listening to you, but I'm also in the process of switching it out so I can do the show on my computer. So I don't want to hear anything about my sound. So also for those of you who don't know, we have started to premiere our intros live on our backup channel. So make sure that you're subbed over there. And yeah, I heard the sound a few times and I was like, this is what they be talking about. Oh, I don't want to hear that
Yeah,
good sound
I'm
back.
so glad.
You know what?
Honey, honey. I'm gonna do you today, baby. I
Oh,
am.
oh.
Oh God, sorry I timed out MOT. Cause MOT is with the shit. Forget what? Hey brother, how you doing, Chad? How you doing, Leave MOT alone. Let me give MOT a wrench.
Yeah,
Shit.
don't come on. Don't do that to MOT.
God damn.
Lord, y'all starting
Uh,
early, huh?
baby, MOT is the Mississippi mud flapper. So no, baby. That's my seventh cousin on my daddy's side. So y'all gonna back up off MOT. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know what y'all got going
No.
on. Y'all been on one. Y'all have been on one. But yeah, let me give MOT a ranch over here. I need to change my profiles is confusing the hell out of me. But yeah, what y'all got going on besides now MOT cousin for from another father. We gonna have to talk. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the hell they got going on. Let me give MOT a wrench over here, cause so y'all don't just be timing MOT out. God damn it. Yeah, girl.
Is
Now,
her or here?
what?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, now I can. Oh
I said, is my sound better? I don't. Is maybe I need to
yeah,
turn
baby, turn the
it
game down. God damn, you loud as
up.
hell.
I don't have a game plan.
gain, baby, like gain in the mic. Like, never
Oh,
mind,
you
honey.
know, I don't know nothing about that, honey. Okay. How
Baby,
about
you
now?
should have took Kudos. You should have took Kudos. Never mind.
You know what?
Um,
I can't fit nothing else in my schedule. Is it better? I turned it down some.
okay. Shout out to Platinum Elite. He says, tell MOT to break bread or go back to the forbidden zone.
Uh-oh.
Thank you so much, Platinum.
Can you hear me? Is my sound okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, girl. You loud as hell.
I turned it down. It's like, okay, how about now?
Yeah, but I want you to use your inside voice.
I'm not even being loud. I don't know why it.
Oh God.
Can you
Babe.
hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's you were gonna tell me about your week. I'm waiting to hear it.
Yeah, girl, nothing popping. Just sitting around. Pretty much that's it. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Sounds like a chill week. But what else is going on?
Uh it's been some happenings around YouTube.
Mm,
Honey, my people, my people, my people, my people. I don't even know what to say about
what
y'all. 'Cause y'all on one.
what kind
Baby,
of
it's
happenings?
been some fighting in these parts, honey. They fighting over every
Oh,
damn thing. But
what?
got a chance to have some resolution myself within the space. So I was quite satisfied with my own resolution.
Okay,
Um
look at you.
yeah, honey, when stuff happens in life and you realize how short life is, and then half the time we're beefing about stuff that doesn't even matter. You're
Mm-hmm.
fighting over this, you're fighting over that. At the end of the day, it's not going to be something that really is going to add or subtract to your life. So then I'm trying to figure out, like, if you can't get along, just leave each other alone. But that's just how me.
I agree with that. You know, I do think that a lot of the infighting is so frivolous over frivolous and trivial things. It's really silly. So, yeah, I try to steer clear, but I am glad to hear that some resolution was had. Resolution is always a good thing. So I'm glad about that.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm hoping there are some cool guys around the manosphere all the way around. On either side, either way you look, there's some cool people. And just hopefully people can come to some type of resolutions, It is what it is. Obsidian's new book is out for pre-order. So
Okay.
congratulations to him. He posted up some copies of the book. So Obsidian, if you are out there listening, congratulations to you. It's been a long, 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 long time coming. So we're just glad you were able to get that out. What else is going on? Bernard took my wrench again, child.
Listen, ma'am. Like I don't know how you do it. Yeah, you a better woman
You
than
know
me.
what? And I've been deciding just to go over there and troll now. I'm
You
like,
you
you know
you
what?
are glutton for punishment. I don't know how
Yeah,
you do it.
I'm gonna find me some better activities because they don't do nothing but be mean to me. And then, it was a man. Shout out to grown man business because I just had to call this out.
Mm.
That man said he ain't never seen me donate more than $2 in the space. Baby,
Oh, he tried you. Wow.
baby,
He
he
said
tried me
$2.
hard. He said he ain't never seen me donate more than $2 in the
Danny,
space.
that man
Two,
said
not
that.
not one- these last $2, baby, not
He
$2.
tried to play you, boo.
I was like,
Mm.
is he talking about me? Like Sister George,
Wow.
baby, I thought he was talking about Sister Patterson or something, baby, because I was like, but
Wow.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Gabe. Yes, Gabe. Shout out to Gabe. Hey, he said,
Yes, thank
if
you.
you can't get along, just leave each other alone. I completely agree. And
Mm.
bars. So thank you.
Say
Thank
that.
you so much. Really appreciate that, Gabe.
Absolutely.
Whatever. But yeah, it's just been some interesting stuff happening around here. But yeah, a grown man business. I gives. I give.
He said not more than two
And I'm a
dollars.
cheerful giver. I couldn't believe it. I was like, do he know me? He don't know me.
Man, listen, he tried it.
Oh,
You know, I always try to give. Like I have so much going on, so I might not be able to listen to a whole stream, but I'll stop through it and put something in the pot. That man said $2.
that
Wow.
man said he ain't never seen me give more than $2. I'm over here just collecting money off the space child. And I'm like, um, it was so insulting because it was really insulting to me because I'm like, I actually give a whole lot. Now I may tell people not to say my name when I do give because sometimes I just don't need the clout for it.
Mhm.
But I really do. And a lot of people know that. But you know what was even more crazy? Them same Negroes that I had gave to sat there and watched that man say that and he say shit. But anyway,
Wow.
that's another story, child. That's another
Mm.
story. That's another story. But anywho, um, what's going on in celebrity news, baby?
It's been a lot. It ain't really been too much that I've seen that's going on. I mean, I know Bobby Shmurda was released. It's been like a lot of nothing like all that intriguing to me as it relates to celebrity news. Can you think of anything?
What are you thinking about with Ti and Tiny? I heard they had a boy come forward and say that some stuff happened to him,
Wait, now,
and
huh? What? Say what now?
a boy.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear about that. I
I'm
missed
gonna
that
need
one.
you to keep up with the Atlanta news, baby. I'm all the way over
Ma'am,
here
I'm
in
usually on
Mississippi.
it, but yeah, that's a new one. Okay, so okay, finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, child, that's all I know. I thought you was gonna have the Atlanta news
No,
covered.
I don't have the tea on that one. Yeah, I had no clue. Mm. Okay, I do have something that we haven't talked about. It's like from a few weeks ago, a week and a half or so ago, but Kim filing for divorce from Kanye West. Do you think that um it's okay to leave your husband, the person vowed to stay with through sickness and in health, um, during a time when they're sick, like when they're at their lowest point? Like, do you think it's okay to leave your husband?
Hell no, you know I'm a Southern Baptist Christian Pentecostal woman, girl. No, nah. The only reason I would say that it would be okay, um, is probably if the man is abusive. That's
Yeah.
probably the only time I would say that it would be okay. But now, yeah, because everything else, you should know who you're dealing with, know what you got going on. But yeah, I think that yeah, I think abuse is probably the only thing. And I won't even say cheating necessarily because you know a hoe when you get one. You know if you got a hoe.
You know
Um
what? I Now I have to say, I feel conflicted because I do think that you're supposed to stay with your partner, through sickness and in health. I understand those vows and I subscribe to them. However, like at what cost? Like at the cost of your own sanity? Like, are you supposed to live in purgatory while you're waiting for this person to heal, especially like from a psychological issue that he, may not be interested in receiving care? He may kind of feel like he's good. He don't need to take medication. So, at what point do you say like, okay, enough is enough? Like, you know.
Okay, but then there comes a time where you have to have certain discussions before you actually walk down the aisle.
Mm,
Now, what I would say on Kim's part, Kim has always been about that Hollywood life. Kim
mm-hmm.
has always been in front of the camera. Even when Kim was with Paris Hilton, Kim wanted to be that chick.
Yeah, she did.
So Kanye knew what kind of woman that he had. He knew that. Now, can I say that Kim actually knew what kind of man Kanye was going to be? I think that might be something different because Kanye may have changed.
Mm-hmm.
After the death of your mother, the parting of a really, really, really big business partner,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that does take a toll on your life, especially the way his mom lost her life. Then when you go through a lot of stuff within the industry,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's deep. So
Yeah.
I really, really, really I don't know. And then we don't know how crazy Kanye was technically
Mm-hmm.
versus
Well,
versus what they'll put out about him because
right.
people know how to Kim, the Kardashians own people. They own like the
Mm.
tabloid magazines. They would be the equivalent of our royal family over here. Platinum says MOT had not given you a pecan, but you gave him a wrench.
Listen, Platt, we love you, but we don't give wrenches based off of like who donates. We try to look at different ways in which people add value to our space. So it's not strictly based off of like donations. Like we appreciate the donations, but you got a wrench because we rock with you. Like you fam. So that's why you received a wrench. It's not because of what you donate, but we definitely appreciate the donations. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We
Thank
appreciate the
you.
love.
Thank you.
I wanted to,
That was nice, Concrete. That was
you
really
know
cool.
what? I felt I had to. I ain't want unicorn Keisha. I ain't want her. So
Were
I
you talking
wanted to.
about me?
Yes. I didn't want to see
Oh,
unicorn Keisha, so I was like, let me take it. Okay,
I'm
but I
sitting
wanted
over here with my mouth wide open. Girl, you funny. I ain't been to the
listen.
weeks. I'm just saying. Like in weeks. That's
Okay,
all good though. I'm gonna get your ass back. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
listen. I wanted to respond. Okay, I think you bring up some interesting points. Like when you talk about Kim and how entrenched in Hollywood she ain't my first lady. She ain't royalty to the royal family to me. But I do think that she's entrenched in Hollywood and she is all about image. So I think that there was a certain point for her that she's like, okay, this is like ruining my brand, and I'm gonna have to part ways. I mean, who knows if that's the real reason behind it, but just speculating, she probably did assess the situation and say, this is affecting my brand. And she is a brand in and of herself. In addition, I feel like listen, I know y'all don't get down with the conspiracies, but I think it's some Illuminati ties or something going on. But because that family, look, have y'all watched Get Out? Listen, somebody got a teacup. I'm trying to tell you, be careful, be careful. That's all I'm gonna say. But there's one more little quick thing that listen, Platt, thank you, Platt. We appreciate you. Platt says MOT say he got bread though. Tell him to spend it.
MOT,
Um
spend that damn bread. See, Platt, we told his ass. We told him, spend
yeah.
that bread, MOT. Shit.
Platt is funny. You gotta love Platt. Everybody love Platt. I got one more thing that I wanted to bring up real quick, then we can hop off into the topic. Did you hear Gucci Mane's new song that had the crass lyrics in reference to Kobe Bryant? Did you hear?
No,
Was it
because
Gucci Mane? Not Gucci Mane.
are you talking about Meek Mills? Because your
I'm
sound went
sorry.
out.
Yeah, I apologize. I was trying to say Meek Mill, not Gucci Mane. I apologize. Meek Mill.
I'm gonna
Um,
really need you to get your Atlanta, baby.
listen,
What's really
excuse
going on?
charge it to my head, not my heart. It wasn't intentional. I
Oh
meant
my
to say
god.
Meek Mill. I tried to correct it, but I accidentally hit the mute button. So Meek Mill. Anyways, back on topic. Did you hear the lyrics to the song uh, that he made offending Kobe's legacy and offending his wife and just crass like disgusting lyrics that he made?
I think these dudes are really, really on that good coke. I think
Oh,
they don't have a lick of sense. I
oh,
think they lack common sense and tact. I'm
oh.
sitting there saying, like, when you actually are sitting there writing out the lyrics, when you are writing out the lyrics, you have to get in the studio. You
Mhm,
probably have to do more than one take. Don't ask me how I
mhm.
know. But
Curlin be having you in the still with him. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
girl,
on.
currently be in the
No.
studio with me. No, my. Um,
That make more sense.
shut
Go
up.
on.
Girl, I be over there busting, spitting bars and shit,
Oh my
16 on that
God.
ass. But anyway, no,
Jesus,
I'm
take
just
the
saying.
wheel. Woo, go ahead
MC
on.
Danny over here. Anywho,
When you
um,
dropping your track, boo? Okay, we are
concrete, I
like
will freestyle on y'all. Never
no.
mind. I ain't gonna
Listen,
tell y'all my hidden
listen,
talent.
listen. I want to see it. You got to prove it to me because I don't believe it's real. I don't believe it's real because you should have made a track for us.
You weren't
That's
ready
all.
for it yet, boy. I had to see how long this thing was gonna last. Girl, I wasn't ready. You weren't ready for it. I have to make sure you was
You
gonna
know
be here for
what?
the long haul, child.
Good night.
Maybe on our a few anniversaries, child. I don't know.
Good night.
Yeah, child. But anyway, yeah. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, I'm like, you have to go through a whole thought process before you actually start to spit lyrics and you writing it down and to actually lay it down to a track. And then most people who do songs like that, a lot of them really get kind of obsessive compulsive with themselves or with their music. So you're gonna really
Mhm.
listen to it. You're looking for mistakes. You're listening to see how everything sounds. You're gonna listen to it in different areas. So I'm saying, like, when you're rapping that,
Mhm.
it never occurred to you that this woman just lost her husband a year ago. Like that never occurred to you.
Mhm.
If somebody did the same thing to them, and then it's so just, oh well, don't say anything about it, oh well, just leave
Yeah.
it alone, oh well, let's not do this, that, and the third. So I lose so much respect for these rappers day by day, because I'm sitting there like, are you guys freaking serious? Is
Yeah.
this what y'all doing? And I'm like, you just got out of jail. Should they be busting tracks about you being in jail, getting messed with your booty? I mean,
Yeah. That was so tacky, so crass. I like. I mean, it hurt my heart. Like, what was going through your head? And then nobody, none of your friends, not the producer, nobody said, "Oh, maybe you should take that part out." Like, no one stepped up to say that might not be a good
but
idea. The record label.
you know what though? And I'm gonna tell you something that I think about too.
Mhm.
I think about it like this. I think that people was probably like, leave it in the track so you can gain some publicity for it. You could apologize for it later, but it'll give you some hype. And I don't think people give enough credence to how dirty Hollywood would actually get down to keep you in the news or to keep you on the spotlight or something. Meek Mill has not had any hits
Mhm.
since child. I don't know. Baby, it's
Yeah,
been a minute. It's been a minute.
you're right.
But Meek Mill is probably trying to find his way back into the media, and that was just a terrible way to do it. I wasn't feeling it.
You're right. I thought about that and I was like, oh yeah, let me make mention of that because I hadn't discussed it with you, but I just thought that it was disgusting. I was repulsed by it, and I agree. The fact that he just wanted people to gloss over it and had the nerve to be offended that people were calling him out about it. Like, sir, like, do you realize how offensive your actions are? Of course, people have something to say about it.
Right, right, right. But are you ready to get off into this topic, honey?
Let's do it. Let's get off into it.
Why black men prefer cat over power?
Mm. That is the question. That's the question that we go attempt to answer tonight. So personally, I'm still examining it. I don't know that black men do prefer, and of course, we're not talking about all black men, but I don't know if black men do prefer kitty over power. But I am examining that because I have seen men who have a zest for women and chasing in behind women, and beautiful women is like the holy grail for them, but they don't attack their own visions and their own dreams with that same zest. They're rather lackluster when it comes to going after their own goals, or trying to attain success. So for that very reason, I do question if there's some truth to that notion. What about you?
Of course, I'm not gonna say all men prefer it over power, but now I would say quite a few do though. Quite a few. And
Mm,
to me it's evident in the way they measure other men. So um I was thinking about this and I was thinking about men and I was like, okay, these are some great men, but look what these men's legacies have been reduced to, right? And shout out to Ty City because Ty City actually kind of put me on this thought train or whatever. But I thought about Will Smith. I thought about Russell
mm-hmm,
Wilson. I thought
mm-hmm,
about Michael B. Jordan.
mm,
And when you think of Will Smith, now you don't think of Will Smith Bad Boys. You don't think of Will Smith Academy Award winning. You don't think of Will Smith as employing black people. You don't think
mm-hmm,
of Will Smith as Fresh Prince of Bel Air. You don't think of Will Smith the summertime. But what you do think of Will Smith is Jada Pinkett and August Alsina. Um,
mm,
when you think about Russell Wilson, you don't think about Russell Wilson's career as I think he's a Pro Bowler, Super Bowl winner, um, MVP. You don't think about all of his accolades and what he's worked hard to accomplish as a man. But what you do think of is that he married a so-called hoe, and
mm.
she wasn't good enough for
A
him.
baby mama.
A baby mama. That's what you think
Mm-hmm,
about.
mm-hmm,
When you think of Michael B. Jordan, one of the greatest actors in Hollywood right now, you don't think about Michael B. Jordan being a great actor. You think about Michael B. Jordan being tied to a pass around. And so I'm looking at
I'm about to go. No, you did not.
I did. That's what
Mm,
they call her. I'm not never mind, child. I ain't gonna go.
okay,
I
go
don't know.
ahead.
I ain't gonna go. But what I'm saying is, um, yeah, that was me, D Darrell. D Darrell, you got some scandal going on. I don't know, Chad. We got to see about it. D. Darrell.
Oh, did the
But
real listen? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
baby,
ahead. I don't
we
want
got
to
to
get
check out Ryan's
sidetracked.
camera. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, but you don't think about those types of things when you start to think of these men nowadays because they're choosing to measure these men based off the chicks that they're with. And
Mm,
so I'm saying like when I look at men and this is my observation. So y'all ain't gonna get mad. Y'all ain't gonna get mad.
mm.
King Leo, stay your ass right there. I got something for you. Hold on.
I got. Wait. Go ahead, because I want to say something
Okay.
too.
So when you think of these men and how they measure each other, if the man is getting a lot of chicks, men tend to put those type of men on top. But if you have somebody that's not getting a lot of chicks, but let's just say he's doing great things. Oh, that ain't no real man. You know, he ain't really all that. He just,
Mm,
he just found something he could do. He was good at, or he a nerd, or he ain't like this. But certain types of other men, I feel like men measure their own masculinity by the types of vagina that they get or who they're dealing with as a woman. And so I think when other men see that and how women respond to that, also how women respond to that, I think that's when it comes to preferring the P over the power. What you think, girl?
well, I think that that's an interesting take. So now I don't know as far as like actors being reduced to certain things. Say for Wilson, I don't know. Like I think that as far as Will Smith, that's like temporary until he has his next big role. As far as Michael B. Jordan, I think like that's just a hot trending topic for now. However, I have some other examples that I want to throw out there.
Oh,
I feel like the reason why I feel like this is something worth examining is because we've seen black men throw it away for the kitty. Of course, we've seen regular everyday black men, but I'm going to pull from people that we can all reference. Bill Cosby, R. Kelly.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna throw it all away for, I mean, millions and millions upon millions of dollars, and you willing to risk it all for, the kitty. And I think that using those examples as well as examples that we know in our own personal lives, it's worth having the conversation and talking about it. Are you valuing sex, the woman's body, above, your own success, above, you know, creating your own path and ensuring that you forge forward to see whatever dreams you have to fruition? Did you spend 20 years running in behind women instead of making that rap career a reality in your 20s, and now you 50 still trying to book studio time? Like, it's worth having the conversation. It's a the conversation or the topic might actually have some merit. So for that reason, that's why I figured we should examine it.
I think you have a really, really good point. Or the men risking their lives and going to jail over a chick. When men talk about men going to jail and how the reasons that men go to jail, a lot of those reasons are tied to women.
Yep.
And it's just really, really interesting as to what men would do to what they'll do for a woman and how they end up where they at. And so
Wow.
it's like, okay, so then where's the real power? Um, what are they doing for
The
real power?
the thing is, when you leading back to the example or the comment that you just made, these men, they're so not only are like, I feel like they're so hell bent on having the kitty, and power is like the furthest thing from their mind, that they don't want to let you go when you want to leave. We're seeing a number of increasing, we're seeing domestic violence increase, we're seeing murders increase, and stuff like it. Are you that hell bent on ensuring that no one else can have this woman, that power is the furthest thing from your mind? You ain't just willing to forego power, you willing to forego your freedom, you know
Forego freedom, monies, benefits,
yeah.
whatever, all for the sake of a cat.
Hmm.
And it's just really, really interesting. Then, people will get mad at us because we ain't blind. And I don't, it's just interesting how men can make all these observations about women, how men can tell us what we should do to be feminine, what we should do to be submissive, this, that, and the third. It's real interesting. So then I'm looking at the guys and I'm saying, okay, so I can't measure your masculinity, but you can sit here and tell me about my femininity, but I'm supposed to turn a blind eye when your masculinity is turned down. That's interesting.
Well, I do think that that's interesting, and that is something to assess. The other reason that I wanted to examine it is because I feel like even when we have men, because not all men subscribe to this notion of chasing after women, and foregoing power, but some of those who are seeking power, they're seeking power so that they can attain women. They're concerned about their image. They're concerned about improving their image and attempting to improve their image, and want to look and smell good and get in shape, and try to highlight whatever positives they have, so that they can attain women. And they want the best of the best. They want to have the hottest chick in the room on their arm.
Yes.
So some men that are seeking power, they're doing it for the reason of being able to get the baddest chick.
That is exactly right. Have you ever heard men say that other races of men are scared and frightened of them having a big penis? Have you ever heard black men say, "Well, they just worried about us having a big penis"?
Not per se, no.
I have heard that statement before, and I
Hmm.
thought it was so interesting. I'm like, okay, so these men are basically making the laws, and this is not a slight, and this is by design. So, not taking a shot at guys per se, but I think it's asinine for somebody to say, well, yeah, they jealous of our penis because we messing with they women, you know, um, they doing this, that, and the third. But then you look at the incarceration rate of black men, the free labor that they've gotten off of black men, the things that they've gotten off of black men's back, and then for black men to kind of reduce it to sexual functions
Oh
and
yeah,
penis size, honey, it is
yeah.
all of me.
You
Mm.
know what? That is an excellent point. I do think that it shows how little you value yourself if you really believe that their fear is strictly tied to the size of your junk. Of like your strength and what you embody, like what you stand for. Your intellect. The fact that you're as capable as you are, the fact that there's that anything you put your mind to, you can do. Now, I could, those are some of the reasons that they may fear you. But I don't think it's because they're concerned about that specifically.
Shout out to brother David Johnson. He says, to whom it may concern, I brought up the concept of power over to this space. Well, thank you, brother David Johnson. You brought it to the space and we brought it to the channel. Each one equal.
Thank you, David. We appreciate you. We
Thank
appreciate you,
you.
brother.
We sure do. Concrete, are you ready to open it up? Oh,
Let's
before we
open it
open
up.
it up, shout out to Kit Clouds. He says, for who these straw men y'all talking about. Thank you so much, Kit Cloud. And I wanted to shout out Sheed We Here. He sent us a cash app this morning, so really, really appreciate
Aw,
it.
thank you
Really,
guys.
really
We
do.
appreciate y'all. So sweet. But I want to open it up because I see them talking smack in the chat, and they act like we're just pulling stuff out of our behinds, and I want to hear what they have to say. So let's open it up and allow the fellas and the ladies, if they would like, to join us and give us their take on the topic.
So let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Then there has to be some admittance on our part, but I don't know if you're really, really ready to say it out loud, right?
What's that?
Do you think women won the gender war?
Okay, so this is just an aside. It has nothing to do with the topic.
No, kind of. Because if you're saying that black men prefer vagina over power, then that's saying that the vagina has more power than the power has to the. Does that make sense? No, not yet. I'm explaining it again.
Yeah.
If we're saying that a black man prefers vagina, like he is willing to chase the what you call it, he is going blind, he is dead for it, he is out of his mind over this what you call it. Would you say that the gender war was won because of the control she has over the man, as opposed to him seeking power and putting himself first and
Mm-mm.
doing things to handle his business, to make
Uh,
himself the best race of man, because that's a collective guide or goal. That's a collective goal.
mm.
If he's out chasing vagina but other men are out chasing power, would you say that black women have won the gender war?
No, I don't think that black women have won the gender war. I think that the concept, the notion that we're discussing, um, predates, the gender war. I think, in addition, uh, if anything, we're seeing the influx of men fighting back or pushing back against this notion that sex or the women are more valuable than power. I think there's a push to encourage other men to do the same, to seek power, to seek success, and the women will come. So I don't think that that is indicative of us winning the gender war, because I think that this existed before there was a gender war, and I think that men in this space are attempting to turn the tide. And yeah, I don't think the gender war has been won.
Okay, and you brought about an interesting point when you said that you think that they've been this has been happening before. You said it was happening before when?
Before there was ever a gender war.
Okay. Um I'm kind of so would you say that masculinity has increased or decreased?
Do I think that masculinity has increased or decreased? Like what time are we looking at? Has it increased or decreased since the gender war started? Is that the question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I feel like I see more men who lack masculinity. Um, but I don't see an increase, or I don't see, excuse me, I don't see a decrease in the men who possess masculinity, but I'm seeing a number. I know this is hard to kind of follow. I see more men who lack masculinity, just like an influx of men who just don't have masculinity. But those that do have it, I don't see that their masculinity is declining, I guess would be my response to that.
Okay.
What's your
Okay.
take? You asking me, but you're not telling me what you think.
Girl, you know I'm here to interview you. Hey,
Mm-mm.
Pablo.
Let me hear what you got to say. What's your take
Okay.
on it?
I
Okay.
do think just like the women are less feminine, we have to take into consideration the women actually being raising a generation of men or
Mm-hmm.
boys. We have to take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
When you take that into consideration, I will definitely say that masculinity has decreased. I don't say it with glee or joy, but I don't say the being that the masculinity of women has increased. I don't say those things with glee or joy. I actually look at it as quite sad on both sides.
Mm.
Shout out
Well,
to my baby. He said,
mhm.
I'd say it's a draw. Some dudes are gone with sunshine and ain't never coming home. The others can appreciate the playhouse, but we ain't going. Baby, what that mean?
You know what? I wanted to say
Oh,
something really quickly. I'm saying essentially the same thing. That's why I'm saying I see less. I see more men who just don't have masculinity, and that's because more men are being raised in homes by single mothers. But the men who have it, the men who possess it, so the men of my generation and the generation before me, I'm not seeing them possess less masculinity, meaning their masculinity isn't declining, but I'm seeing more males being raised who just lack masculinity. So I think we're saying essentially the same thing. But Dane said something interesting. He said sex is currency to men, i.e., sex would
mm,
equal some sort of power. I didn't think about it from that angle. That's
hmm.
interesting.
But we got Pablo up here. Pablo,
We do. Hey, Pablo.
Hey, what's up, ladies?
what's going on, Pablo?
Right.
So, I think you got the brothers dead to rights on this one, but
What, we
um,
won something? Hot damn. Okay, I'm
yeah,
stop being excited.
yeah.
Where we pick up
But,
our trophy?
but I do have an explanation. With guilty, Your Honor, with an explanation.
Okay, okay.
So I was in Cartagena, Colombia, and I was talking to an Afro-Colombian brother on the beach, and what he told me was, and this was my second time meeting this guy, so gradually he opened up more and more to me. And what he said was told to him by Colombian women who had been dealing with Black American men. What he said was, they said this, that when they deal with Black American men sexually, he said they try to beat the stuffings out of them sexually. They want to fuck all night. They want to go for hours. They want to like they got something to prove. And I explained to him kind of the reason why. I said because in our country, I said there's more sexual competition. I said because there's a group of black men who have a lot of sexual access, right? Which kind of lines up with what you're saying. There's
Mm-hmm.
a group of black men who have a lot of sexual access. And then there's a group of black men who are kind of in the middle. They, they get theirs here and there. They have some success, but they take a lot of L's too.
Right.
And then you have a large group who have very little access. And so when they have access, it's like when they obtain some access, some fame, some money, some ability to attract women, they go crazy because the sexual competition in this country is very, very it's not broadly dispersed. The sexual access, especially in the black community, it's very exaggerated. The United States was uh, colonized by the Puritans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Puritans had a certain sexual attitude, chastity, no sex before marriage, all this stuff,
Right.
and you hear this stuff in this space from black men. Now, what I get a chance to see is in Latin America, there's a much freer sexual attitude, and so there's a much more the sexual access is spread more broadly. Same thing in Asia. The sexual access is spread more broadly among the men. So they don't have that same thirst. It's just they don't care. you know. Do you want women? They'll take you to some. Here, you want some women? Oh, here you go. Have at it. So that sexual competition isn't as intense as it is here. And so that is a part of the reason why.
That's interesting, interesting, interesting. Shout out to Maurice. He's saying dudes are starved in the USA for sex. Being that it is kind of uneven like it is, and I absolutely agree. Coming to this space has kind of given me a different viewpoint on when people talk about the 80-20 rule. I actually thought it was a crock of bullshit. I really did. As I started to come to this space, and then you start to do more research, and you're starting to look around just a bit more and observe your surroundings and stuff. Most guys aren't getting laid. Most.
So how is that though, Danny? And even with how is the notion that black men are being sex starved when black men brag in this space all the time about how they're the most desirable. They can get
But,
women everywhere. All
but
women want
their
them.
but their access is sporadic. Even the guys, there's a huge swath that have very sporadic sex life. It's not consistent and varied. And then there's a small group that has lots and lots of access. And then there's a group that has
Mm.
almost none. That's
Yeah.
also much larger than the guys at the top. And in
I
Black
find that
America,
interesting.
and
Go
in
ahead. I'm
Black
sorry.
America, that dynamic is exaggerated, much more concentrated than in other groups. In other groups, it tends to be a little bit more spread out, so that men they aren't as geeked up about it. They're not. They measure them. Yes, they measure themselves. All men look like sex, right? They're all driven for that. But in Black America, it becomes
Mm.
a point to where they start to measure themselves by how much they get. That
So to
becomes their
me,
identity. That becomes their masculine identity. There ain't
Yeah.
no, yeah.
I
So
agree with
before
what you're saying, Pablo, but I just feel like then that there's like that kind of goes against the notion that everybody uses to push in this. Everybody pushes in this space. If there's a small percentage of men who have all the access, then why is it like the men who use that as a talking point? They use like a blanketed statement that black men as a whole have this access and availability to date and deal with any woman.
You ever heard of locker
However,
room talk?
I'm sorry.
You ever heard of locker room talk?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Black men do it a lot.
Makes sense. All right.
Man, I
Touche.
hit that. I had this. I had that girl. Man, I be getting mine. Lies.
I got you. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
That's an interesting point, Lauro. Sister George and Concrete, never believe anything that men say first. Tell them until finding out the truth later. You know what? It ain't. See, if y'all ass ain't lie like y'all did, we wouldn't be doubtful of y'all. But y'all be lying.
They be coming in this space fronting, and we just saying like, keep it real. So I certainly believe what black men say. We actually a lot of the commentary that you hear us say is because we've taken into account what black men say. My perspective on things have changed like drastically after actually intentionally listening to black men and what they have to say regarding certain subjects, specifically like dating and mating as it relates to relationships and their perception of black women. But I just like to point out the hypocrisy that I see in this space, and that was like the point that I was trying to make.
Yeah. But because so Pablo, let me ask you this. You do agree that men measure each other's masculinity off of the amount of vagina that a man gets, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, some do, but again, sometimes it depends on the social economic level and stuff like that of the man. Do you remember when Russell Wilson first started dealing with Sierra?
Yes.
And who was that? Slim Thug?
Yes.
Slim Thug came out and basically said, "Oh, she don't really like him. She really want this thug love, right?"
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. So the guys, the street guys, they tend to do that more than the guys who are accomplished in some other arena. The guys who are accomplished in some other arena aren't measuring themselves just by the numbers of sexual conquest they have, because they have other
That's
things
true.
that they can measure.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that is absolutely positively true. But okay, so do you feel like that
The
causes
street
a lot
dudes,
of
the street dudes listen. A lot of black men are on the who hit it first, Ray J shit. That's why they can't get over the Russell Wilson Sierra thing. Who hit it first? Well, Future hit it first, which that really doesn't, for me anyway. That don't mean a whole lot. A hill of fucking beans, but they
But
think
do
it
you
does.
feel that this is causing more men that are on the opposite side to go SYSBM, to go MGTOW, to do other things because these men did get a chance and opportunity to hit it?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about where they can get their needs met at the end of the day. Sometimes they just can't get it met at home. Oh, by the way, I'm in love with a black.
But how I don't. Oh, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Pablo. Sorry.
No. I dropped the link of this lady I want y'all to interview in the chat. I don't know if y'all saw it.
Oh, okay. We'll check.
Oh,
We'll have
but
to
anyway.
check that out. I think that. Oh my gosh, you just said
You
something
know what,
interesting.
though, Pablo? I got another good question for you. Now this is the thing that kind of messes with my head a bit, because a lot of guys, and I'm gonna say like guys that would be considered nerds, or guys that aren't very popular with women or whatever. I'm not gonna say nerds. Jesus Christ, let me not say that. But guys that aren't very popular with women, if they had the opportunity to be the guy who was popular with women, most of those guys would take that opportunity versus being really, really smart. What do you think about that?
So you're saying if they had an opportunity to trade places with the guys that are getting all the sex,
Yeah.
uh, at what point in life? Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, I'm one of those guys that you're talking about. In my early life, no, I wasn't that guy, right?
Mhm.
But once I crossed 32 or so, think the worm started to turn, and so I was more educated. I was earning more money, and by the time I was 40, I had I had access to more beautiful women than ever in my life, in my 20s or teens or any of that.
Okay. Okay. I think that's
So
a very good point.
so although I may have wanted to trade places with them at that time, once I go back to the high to the high school reunion and look at who I got with me versus who they have, it's no contest.
Of
Okay.
course, in hindsight, you wouldn't want to go back and switch because, you know, a lot of those guys. I mean, what else do you have besides your sex game? You know, if all you were, if you weren't focused on, you know, your own success, if all you were doing was trying to bag women, what else do you have save for your sex game? So, in hindsight, yes, you probably wouldn't want to switch places with them. But like during that, in that moment when they're popular, like during your high school days, you probably would say, "Dang, you know, I wish I was able to get all the women in that same." Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I never thought that, oh, I'd like to trade places with him and this and that. What I thought was this, man, they winning. I literally thought this, man, they winning, but I'm gonna keep my head down and keep doing what I'm doing because it's gotta get better. That's literally what I thought. I don't know how other guys think, but that's how I thought. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm losing, I ain't winning. When I asked the girl out to the prom and she turned me down, she laughed in my face. I just said, man, bump this. I'm gonna keep my head down and keep it pushing.
Hmm.
I'm gonna win one day. That's kind of how I thought. But everybody doesn't have the emotional support to that can get them through that. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point, also, Pablo. Really good
This is a
point.
funny super chat. You want to read it?
Shout out to Babe. He says, I heard Saint the Sinner's supposed to be doing some kind of expose on the SYSBM bros. Talking about Colombia is full of hookers.
It is. It is. And who better to know about the sexual exploits of American black men down there than hookers? He's right. Yeah.
You know, I've heard plenty of people say that in this space, though. Like, you know, a lot of these countries that men brag about going to, these third world countries, like, that's how some of those women feed their families. So, I mean, I guess if you feel like it's a trade up to go to a third world country and get with someone who, you know, is prostituting or, you know, sells her body for a living, and you're essentially one of her Johns who falls in love with her, than dealing with an American black woman, then yeah, you know, do your
Well,
thing.
it's not everybody. Not
Ladies,
everybody
can I say something?
is
I'm not
a
trying to
hooker.
be long. I gotta say
Ooh,
something to get this out the
chaos.
way.
Chaos,
Um,
what the
that,
hell?
have y'all noticed a topic like this, pussy over power, and there's very little men on this panel? That probably answers your question.
Mm.
Mm.
And mind you, it's rare you have these type of discussions. It be flooded. But like
Yeah, they
always,
can't refute it.
we all know the answer to that is with the black men today. Pussy is everything. If they don't get it or don't know how to attain it, they don't want to worry about anything else. And a black man's comfortable. That's how I conclude. And that thing, and that, be honest with you, in the 21st century, the way how black men and how we're moving as a community, that has to change if we want to survive, especially here in the West or globally in this 21st century. Priorities got to be set, and decisions got to be made.
But you
The
know
man
what,
really-
Chaos, and I wanted to say this. I'm gonna read this thing from Knucklehead. He says, Sister George is really right. All of us nerds wish that we was a thug so we could get black women that love us, but for some reason we don't know how to be thugs because it's really not in us. That's a very interesting statement. I you know and it's interesting that you would actually say it out loud and admit to that, because I think that's a hard thing to admit to, or to even feel like your masculinity or certain aspects about you has been reduced because you're not a certain type of man that black women have been programmed to go after. So I think that oh, if it was sarcasm, then I missed it, baby. You know, I'm never mind. I hope it wasn't sarcasm. I thought it was real. I'm sorry. But
Yeah,
Chaos, go ahead.
yeah. So that's your answer to today's stream, today's subject.
What
I
I
can
wanted to
see.
say, go ahead,
Yeah,
Chaos.
There's
I'm
some
sorry.
truth.
yeah.
There's some truth in it.
I would say it's personally this. I feel this is gonna be a short one because let's be honest, this discussion has to be asked. And a lot of men already have voted by their lack of response. So
Well,
that's all I got to say.
if that's the case, we'll that what can we do about that? But I wanted to say something really quickly. So I actually had a discussion on Clubhouse just shortly before the stream started, and I was talking with a group of people, and that question came up regarding women and their affinity for bad guys. And some of the commentary was that, of course, women have an affinity for bad guys because of like the perceived masculinity that bad guys have, but also like the lack of confidence that, educated lame show. And there was like even some like science brought in as it relates to, the pheromones that, you put off and the different levels of testosterone that some men have. And as a result, like, our nature is to be attracted to certain kinds of men. But there was also quite a bit of commentary relating to like mammals, because sometimes like that attraction is like us operating in at our lowest self. So it's not like we're logically necessarily thinking about it sometimes when strictly talking about physical attraction. So they were talking about like peacocks, like the male peacocks has like the most beautiful feathers. Like those are the feathers that are going to attract the woman, and, just different type of, just different species, and how like the man is, or the male species is like bold, and it's what attracts the female species. And I think that in the same vein, typically bad guys have a masculine energy that enters the room before they do, that you can see coming from a mile away, that their presence is like so strong that a lot of times like heads will turn in the room and they're like, whoa, who is that? So it's almost like there's some innate response that we have to that type of energy, that we don't often talk
You
about
know,
that in this
Honky
space.
Crows, the bad
Yeah.
guy, is a created entity for the last almost 50 years for media. For you letting know. To be
Wait,
honest.
he's a what?
The bad guy is a created entity for our
No,
minds
that's
and
not
hearts.
true. That's not true.
Oh,
When we
trust me.
think about
Was there a
men,
bad guy back in the 60s?
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so the bad guy, but I'm talking
I
about
mean, like
men with
literally,
mass.
where we see a bad guy, but mostly
Yes,
were males.
chaos. I understand, but that's art imitating life. When we see masculine energy back in, on the continent, there were men with masculine energy that were like the warriors in the village that had their pick of the women. So this isn't something that is like a new phenomenon. I really think that is art imitating life, because that masculine energy and that men embody is something that attracts women. So I think that as a result, the TV networks play off of that, and you see that in men playing certain types of roles, and it's always the bad guy who gets the girl. But I don't think that it's
So
the
that's
media
social
that's
engineering.
feeding us
That's
that.
programming.
No, because it existed before that programming, before that method of programming came into play.
I think that's an interesting point that he's making, though. about the programming though. And it's interesting because even as kids, I always think about situations when you're kids and how your parents dressed you and what everybody was attracted to. When we were all little girls, and most little girls wanted the popular little boy. The popular little boy became the kid who didn't, well, some, I'm not saying this for all, but some of the popular boys became the child who didn't have to do a lot of work, had all the girls doing homework for him, or they could cheat off his test, or they was skipping school with him, or doing whatever. But I've noticed this since we were kids. And so
as kids, there was never a cartoon or anything that I watched that showed the popular guy that would have made me think that, oh, because has popularity, that he's attractive. And if you read any kind of history books about Africa, you'll see that existed before TV existed. This isn't something that, TV created. It was something that existed and was in place prior to that.
Africa has kings and queens and tribes.
Okay.
So there was a whole bunch of said tribes. They're all bad guys. Everybody run a society that is somewhat order at last time I checked. But I have to go, ladies. We'll have to continue.
Not all. Yeah, go ahead. But not all countries in Africa had these. They all had like a patriarch. They might have had like a patriarchy or some sort of patriarch that ruled the village. But there are smaller villages that didn't have like a royal family. But that mindset, that phenomenon existed prior to TV. Like if you read any, and I know that in public schools here in the States, like they don't go back to like African history. Literally, they want you to believe that your history started with slavery. But if you do any research on, any kind of, even if you just look at like ancient civilizations, it doesn't even have to be, Africa, any kind of ancient civilization, you'll see that there is the same principle that we're discussing now existed prior to there being any kind of TV or media.
That's an interesting point. I'm going to read these super. Huh?
Oh, can I say something real quick? I wanted to, but I'm gonna let you read your super chat. Go ahead and read your super chat.
Okay. Shout out to David Johnson. He says, "I've always said I refuse to lose 100. My motto is persistence overrides resistance." Thank you so much, bro, David Johnson. That. Shout out to the beautiful Danica Marie. She says, just stopping in to show support. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sis.
Appreciate you. Shout out to the mad scientist. He said, I came into my own in my 30s as well. Most of the guys that were popular with women in their teens and 20s are bums now, and most of my old crushers are now land whales. Tag last laugh on your monkey ass.
Oh, well, dang.
Oh goodness. Platinum. Oh well. First, Pablo, did you have something else to say?
Oh yeah, but about the prostitution thing. So imagine this, okay? Remember the guys I told you about who are denied a lot of this sexual access that we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine these guys going on date after date after date and spending $120, $200, $300 trying to woo a woman, $500, and coming up with nothing. If you got on a plane and got the most beautiful woman you had ever seen or dealt with in your life, and you got her for $40, for $80, $50, what would you think? Your whole world, your whole mind would be blown. You have just accomplished all of that crap that you tried in a 2-hour plane ride. And so men only look at results. They don't care about the details. They only look at the results, right? And so that to them is meaningless because they've already spent the money. They've already spent the money. So the money doesn't matter. The money no longer matters because they've already done it without results. And so to them, that was saying, well, they're prostitutes doesn't move them.
It's
Wow.
and Pablo, you my homie. You know I fucks with you or whatever. It's a different feel though. I'm just saying. If you're willing to do that, if you're willing to cross that bridge, because when you talk about American women, I went to school with them, the ups and the downs, the back and the forth. So it's just a different feel. I fucked on foreign women, bro. This is completely. It's a different feel. I mean, I ain't saying nothing. I had no problem with them. But when you talking about some long term shit, that just wasn't for me because I just knew it. I was like, nah. And it was other brothers who had done that, they had crossed that bridge, and it's to me, I'm like, nah, bro, this is not my, nah. I don't want to live with a foreign chick. No, it wasn't me. No, I've been there. Been
I'm not
there.
saying it's for you,
Done
Platinum.
it. Oh, no, I'm not saying it's. Look, I'm not trying to even say. Look, I seen you. You have a very beautiful wife. This is no disrespect to you. I am simply saying, guys, y'all need to go over there for a couple of months. Go home for a month. Think about it, because it's not what you might. It's not that simple. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I didn't pick my wife up off the street, but what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to explain is the dynamic that goes through the heads of men who haven't had the access that a lot of men brag about. They haven't had it, and so to wait a minute, to throw in their face, well, so and so is a prostitute. For them, they don't know no different because they've been paying money anyway and getting nothing.
Damn.
Well, yeah, you ain't getting nothing on you. Ain't right. You simping. But
okay.
Wait.
Fair exchange is no robbery, Platinum.
But Platinum, what
in the U.S., it's a robbery. It's a robbery. They putting on a ski mask and they robbing.
But
it ain't no robbery
because
that's crazy.
Well, let me ask you this. Because it does seem to be a lot of judgment of guys who who doesn't necessarily have the access to women like certain men do. Pablo does bring about a good point. If they pay for it, if these women have used them, done them dirty, taking their money, not giving up no ass, still taking their money, not doing anything for them, and then they do go get some ass from, they can pay the $80, $90, $100, and they can get some the kind of ass that would actually be deemed better than the American woman at this point. What do you think about that?
Well, stay there. If you go to Dominican, stay there. Don't come back.
And they do. They do. They don't. They go come back.
That's your best move. Nah, your best move is to stay there, because as soon as those women come back, they're gonna learn the system. There's all with these Facebook groups and IG groups. They're gonna all meet other women who've been here longer, older women who've been here say 30 years, maybe raised 2 kids. They're gonna put them on game. They're like, no, you don't have to do
I'm not talking about
no.
marrying someone.
I'm saying if a dude out here catching L after L after L, he go wherever. It don't have to be Dominican. He go to China, wherever, right? And he bring him a bride back. That bride gonna get put on game in 1920s and 10 and stuff. 1900, there was no connection in many cases.
You're talking about marriage. I'm just talking about
that is right though.
I got you. You're talking about marriage though. That's a different lane. I'm just talking about the mindset of
that ain't Pablo. That ain't gonna be enough for no man. Ain't no man just want to fuck unless he done. Oh, wait a minute. Unless he done with that aspect of having a family. If he's done with that, then are you right? No, I'm just saying.
Have you listened to the men in this space, bro? A lot of them ain't into getting no married, bro. They just want access. Come on, man.
That's just a bunch of cheap niggas. Look, at the end of the day, if they're gonna want more. If they fucking on a regular basis, they want to have a kid. They kind of want more. It's normal for men to want to reproduce like that. We don't just want to just slaw for slawing. That's what they're doing now. That's why they're so mad. It's jacking off. They're gonna want more from the engagement with the female. They fear the monetary loss, which I stand with them on that. But I think they're making too much. I think they make too much deal of it because really you can't put no price.
You're
on
bringing up a point, Platinum, that I didn't put in the game. I'm just saying.
Let me chime in really quickly. I just want to make one point. In the I think it was actually earlier this week. It was either Sunday or Monday. I was listening and joining. I had joined a room in Clubhouse, and there were two women. One was German, and the other woman is from Namibia, and both of them talked about the fact that they met men. The woman from Germany, she met a man in he was in the military stationed over there, and he married her, brought her back here. And the woman from Namibia, I don't know where she met her husband, but he wasn't in the service. But he was from the U.S. and they came back here, and both of them were married to black men, and they both said that they kind of had the same experience where the black men felt as though they changed. And the woman from Namibia was talking about basically the man, wanted her to feel like it was like intentionally subjugating her, felt like she couldn't go anywhere and would say like, where are you going to go? You don't have any family here. You basically have to rely on me. And that, she was like, oh no, I'm gonna show him, he has another thing coming if he doesn't think that I'm going to be able to, stack money and, move out and get my own thing. But I just say that to say that there are some women who do come over here who, once they get here, they do take on that westernized mentality, because I'm hearing women like talk about how much they and like how inspiring it is to see women as liberated as they are in the U.S. I mean, having conversation with a ton of women from all over the country who say that they're just inspired by how liberated women get to be in the U.S. And that may be in the back of their heads.
Sure, I don't discount that. That's absolutely correct. But what I'm talking about is why the men that you're talking about, the men that I was referring to, who do not have the sexual access of a platinum, choose to do what they do. They choose to do what they do because they've tried another way and they had no access. So they decided to have. Wait a minute, platinum. You don't want to do it, and you don't get anything out of doing it because you're in another category. You're not one of the guys I'm talking about. Stop internalizing. It's not about you. These guys decide, you know what? I'm spending money over here and I'm getting nothing. I might as well spend my money over here and get something. That's it. It has nothing to do with wanting to get married, has nothing to do with wanting to settle down and build a house and bring her back, and none of that. None of it.
Well, I do plan on, I've said it before, joining you, because you over there and you go back and forth and you speak the language. And that's for my own side. I want to get macheted up over there. But I plan on going to Dominican with you. And but I'm gonna do it off the mouthpiece. No, I'm gonna do it. I gotta do it off my tongue. And my thing is, my thing is this. I've found that if you deal with normal, regular citizens, it's a better fit than dealing with the brothels. And I know that some dudes want to go over there and slaw and go to the hookers, and nobody's trying to stop them from doing that. It's a free world. But when they try to pull, I don't even know the name of it, or try to get a girlfriend or some consistency with those women, it's just, I just don't think they're being rational or reasonable.
No, but they're not trying for that. They want to get laid, platinum. But I can take you to the mall. I can take you to Santa Fe Mall and you can run wild. I'll translate for you.
I'm ready.
Okay. Hola, mi amor, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo es su nombre? Oh, mi amigo Platinum Elite. ¿Cómo es su nombre? Okay, we'll do it. I'll do it with you. You tell me what you want to spit in the ear, I'll spit it.
Hey,
I'll take the communication, but go ahead.
Okay, first we're gonna have was it Brother Roger or David up here first? Hello, one of y'all.
Yeah, that was me. But
go ahead, then.
I'm because I ain't gonna stay that long. Y'all know how I do.
What's up, Roger?
My thing is not. Hey, how y'all doing? Now I didn't catch this from the beginning. I'm gonna go back and watch the replay, of course. Y'all know that. But I think men have to accept that certain women like certain things. I heard y'all talking about women who like bad men, and people continue trying to make excuses for it. No, some women just like bad guys. That's just all it is at the end of the day. Whatever she believes, she's gonna make a move according to that. There's women who assume that I do all kind of stuff because I don't give them a lot of information when I meet them. I don't tell them what I do. I don't tell them how I make no money, and and because of how I'm able to move at this time and that time, you don't know what I do. So they just start making a bunch of assumptions. You see what I'm saying? Now, I ain't got to tell you nothing because I don't owe you nothing. You know what I'm saying? I do understand there's some women who will treat me a certain way because of what they assume that I'm about. I don't care nothing about that at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to build a relationship with somebody, then yeah, you got to be forthcoming and all that type of stuff. But if a woman don't like a guy who's like people say, like a more straight-laced guy or just an upstanding guy or whatever the case is, some women just don't like that. It ain't got nothing to do with there are no excuses for it. If you're in America, you got choice. Every problem you have when it comes to relationships, that got something to do with you making the choices that you make. If you want somebody that's good, you get somebody that's good. Women do not have the problem that men have. Men have to go get a woman. Men come to women. They don't have to do anything. The whole world comes to them. A man will come up to you, offer you a relationship at some point once he gets to know you, offer you a marriage, and offer to take care of you for the rest of your life. Women don't have to do all that. They ain't got to worry about none of that stuff. So they get what they want. So if they with a bad guy, they just like a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Men got to get out this mentality that you know what I'm saying? Like, that's that whole thing about you can't change a hoe to a housewife. A hoe gonna be a hoe, period. I don't care who you are as a person. She gonna be a hoe because that's what she is. Ain't got nothing to do with you. She a hoe because that's who she is. You know what I'm saying? I've met women who are great women. I've met women that are hoes. I accept them for who they are, and I treat them accordingly. It's just that simple. Now, when it comes to wanting power, men do want power. I think now I would say that you have too many men in the black community that power was not an emphasis on their life because a lot of them were not raised by a father. And when men talk about things, we say stuff to let you know you have to get some form of power in your life, period. Like when I was a kid, my father would say all the time, wherever you stay, you got to pay. Now, why would he tell me as a small child something like that? That means I got to make something of myself. I got to have the ability to take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be in a position where people just going to look out for me like that. That's not realistic for a man. Now, can a man get a woman to do that for a while? Sure, you can. You know what I'm saying? We have homosexuals, you know what I'm saying, what they call homosexuals and all that type of stuff. You can do that for a time. Now, are there many women who are going to take care of a man for the rest of his life? No, that number is extremely small. Matter of fact, it's so small, I can't even think of one where a man was taken care of by a woman his entire life. I can't think of no examples of that. I'm not saying it don't exist. There's a lot of people in America. So one example got to exist somewhere. I'm just saying it's so rare that I'm not even familiar with it. So, of course, men shouldn't be trained to depend on that. But if you seek power, you don't have to depend on a woman to take care of you. But can a woman depend on a man to take care of them? Sure they can. They just got to want one at the end of the day. But you always going to have that trope about the multi-millionaire who provides everything for a woman. And then she still sleep with the pool boy. So men just got to learn how to take a woman for who she is. You see what I'm saying? You can be the greatest. Now, I'm from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I watched Michael Jordan growing up. I saw the man win championships. Not only was he a high-value man, not only was he probably the most famous man on the planet Earth, not only was he good at what he's doing, he's arguably the best that ever did it. And he had a woman that wasn't cool with him. He got a divorce. People are who they are. Stop. People got to get out of this because of how I am. She treated me this way, or even for women, because of how I am, he treated me this way. People act according to who they are, because that's them. You can't get no hoe to stop being no hoe. You can ignore it if you want, but she gonna be that if that's what she want to be. And if your man is a dog, you can't get him to stop being no dog. You can ignore it if you want, but that's who he is. If people change, they do it for themselves. And most people will not change for the better unless they go through an experience that they feel is traumatic. Now, it may not be a big deal to some person, but to them, it's traumatic. Some people will change after they get a woman pregnant. It does actually happen. It's not a whole lot, but there are men who, if if he has a baby, he actually will change because something clicks in his head and it feels traumatic to him, so he will change. It's not very often though. There are some women who got caught cheating, and then they'll straighten up the rest of their life and stop being a hoe because she got caught by some dude, and it affected her in a way that she never wants to pull that again. Now she's not gonna end up being with the same guy that called her 9 times out of 10, but she'll stop being a hoe from that point. But it's all about the person. It ain't got nothing to do as the outside person. People do what they want to do for themselves for their own reason.
Okay. Roger with a word, honey. Brother David Johnson, what do you have? And then Truth. Bro David, what you got?
Salute. Can y'all hear me? Am I good? No echo?
Nah, man, you know that mic loud as hell.
Okay, is it really? I'm not on the phone.
No,
I'm
you're good. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Let me turn it down if I need to. The Roger report basically said what I was basically gonna say. It's not anything long and drawn out. Basically, I think it starts from childhood because mothers don't teach. Like, it's like I'm really not with the gender war shit. I swear I'm not. I tend to be on the men's side because I see how society is purposely playing the women against the men, so they make it more advantageous for the women. So it seems like I'm just hating women or I'm against women when that's far from the truth. I just see the way they play the game. I see how they give the incentive for the betrayal to women, and it's not even a lot, but it's enough for them to take it. So, like I said, this is all by design. You look at how cycles are created. Like, I'm not saying there aren't any men who want power. I'm one, and I'm quite sure there are other men. But what I notice again is the cycle, being that mothers are the first teachers of children. If mothers were instilling in their sons about power from day one, then I'm quite sure more men would grow up to seek power. But most mothers are not teaching the sons power. They're really more or less teaching men how to be submissive to women. So it only makes sense. And then, like I said, we blame men for the boys that women raise and they train. So the mother raised this man to be a simp, to be submissive, to be nice to women. And then we wonder why at 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and so power isn't on his mind. Well, goddamn, at his most influential years, you were training him to be submissive, to be sweet, to be nice. So therefore, he grows up not wanting power. And let's be honest, then when he gets older and he deals with that chick, she doesn't really want to play because a man chasing power means the woman has to play the back seat. Now, although most women may want a man with power because power brings money, power brings fame, prestige. So I'm quite sure they want that. But in a lot of scenarios, like we always say, in your first early years, you don't really acquire power. You're figuring things out. 20 or 30, then around 30, the men who are pretty smart, they start analyzing going, okay, well, I just can't have sex all day and chase women all day. I gotta eat. I gotta have somewhere to live. I gotta be able to pay my bills. So then, without guidance or training, we do start with the smart ones. We do start to seek some type of power, some type of advantage, some type of, to make your niche around here. And like I said, coming back full circle, but mothers aren't teaching that. And then I don't want to get into the why fathers aren't doing that, because we can get into the court games, the games mothers play with children. But like I said, ultimately, it seems like the mothers, well, maybe subconsciously, they're training the children to be like this. And this is why we keep having this cycle of weak men. I said this before. Men don't raise weak men. Women raise weak males.
But you know what, David, I want to say this before I let you in, Truth, just before I let you in. And I kind of look at it like this. I think a lot of women, when they're single mothers raising sons, a lot of women are trying to raise men or raise boys that didn't treat them like the dad did. I know y'all don't like to believe that women go through things with men, and women have dealt with certain types of men. And so she does end up raising a weak weak boy or a weak man because she's trying to teach him not to be mean to other women like the guys were to her. And I think that has a lot to account for how they raise boys to be soft. I think that's a big part of the problem.
Let me respond to that right quick. Well, I could go for that. I see what you're saying. And again, I'm quite sure there are some cases of that, but I don't think it's really that. Like, I've watched mothers. It's like, if society is teaching a woman, and this is a fact, this is psychological conditioning. Anybody saying different, they're not qualified to have this conversation. The psychological conditioning is the process of teaching women to, weaken their men. The Bible says the way you get into a strong, I'm paraphrasing, the way you're able to break into a strong man's house is you first bind the strong man. So society is teaching the woman. So the woman has got the boy soft, won't make him work. When people get in his ass, she's trying to defend him, and she's too busy trying to break him. And then when he gets older, like I was on a panel the other day where I had a bunch of women saying, they didn't like me. So there was a brother who was trying to defend the fact of people being online, being able to have freedom of speech. Like, let people say what they feel. You can disagree, but don't try to berate a person because they don't agree. And I watched this guy say that he wasn't disrespectful, and I watched them keep beating him because the whole purpose was to emasculate him. So this is why I say, even if I could go for the purpose of there were mothers raising sons because they didn't want them to be like fathers, I see how the mothers treat men in these spaces and in real life. They berate a man until he submits, until they break him. Every time that dog tries to bark, they convince him to meow. Meow. No, don't you dare bark. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. And then you got dudes who've already been conditioned. They're convincing other men, man, just give up your balls and go with the flow. Don't fight it. Just give up your balls and go with the flow. So like I'm saying, SG, I could go for that, but I would say that was a small amount because at the end of the day, women don't want to be controlled. So the last thing they're going to do is teach their male counterparts how to obtain power, because that power and control would also affect them, and they don't want that. Y'all got it?
That's a good
And can I say
point.
one thing real quick? Can I say one more thing real quick? Because I forgot to say, but it's very important to the conversation. And as at the end of the day, because I've said it before, most black women are just white supremacists, and that's just something black women don't want to deal with. And because you're a white supremacist, the last thing you want is for black men to learn how to be in charge. Period.
Right.
Well, however much power they're talking about. Well, hold on. Let me say this real quick. So black women seek out men in compromised positions so they can spit their story and get sympathy about how that nigga cheated on me, how that nigga didn't do this, how that nigga didn't take care of us, how he ran out of all this. They want to be able to say all this nonsense because they are white supremacists, and they practice white supremacy far more than white folks do.
And it's power and victimhood. It's power and victimhood.
People absolutely.
People wish, oh no, that's wrong. Boy, you can be the biggest thief, killer. If you're a woman and you get victimhood, all that shit goes out the window. They know what they're doing.
I'm gonna get Truth in before I ask my question. But Truth, what are your thoughts on the topic, and what are your thoughts as far as the subject matter goes?
Okay, I've got about 4 main points that I wanted to talk about. Number one is about Black feminism. Is everybody here aware of what was it called, the Combahee River Collective Statement? Is everybody up to date on that?
No.
Okay, well, let me explain what the Combahee River Collective Statement is. This is it's a statement put together by some very politically active Black lesbians from the 1970s who basically wrote the Bible. It's the source code for Black feminism in 2021, where Black feminists got together and they wrote this statement. And they said that they invented what you call identity politics. And they said it is all right to move politically for the best interests of Black women, by Black women, for Black women. And that's because of a lot of sexism that they face. This is according to them. And so they got racism from white feminists. They got a lot of sexism from Black men in the pro-Black power movement. So they created their own brand of politics, and that was called identity politics. That's actually the original meaning of identity politics is politics for Black women. And then it kind of morphed into the 80s and the intersectional feminism by Kimberly Crenshaw, and that's it's really the same, but it's everybody's identity needs to be recognized for their own politics. So you have to understand that when you're talking about identity politics, you're talking about Black women removing themselves politically and in the home. This is about the exact same time you started to have this nuclear family breakdown and the father's removal from the family structure, along with, the war on drugs and deindustrialization and mass incarceration. And there's a lot of different reasons why, in the welfare policies and all that. But ultimately, politically, Black women moved away from Black men. That is what identity politics are. When they talk about intersectionality, that's what section means, in that they section themselves off from Black men. So this is why it's so normal for us to see that Black men and Black women are divided, because that's what Black female politics is about, is dividing themselves from Black men. As a matter of fact, now in 2021, you start to see LGBTQRSMVT plus the trans be elevated above Black men in this left-wing, feminist political movement. You go to the Black Lives Matter website, and what do they say about Black men? Not a whole lot, except for we're going to center other people because of Black men's sexism from the 60s, right? And it says that on the website, which is insane. So that's my first point. My second point is, now that we have a large wealth gap between Blacks and white people. Everybody knows about that. White people have more money than Black people. What most people don't know is that wealth gap is mostly driven by the men. White women make probably a little bit more than Black women, but not by much. It's largely driven by the men. And so I'll drop some links in the chat so you guys could see. I'll put it in the back chat so guys don't go away from your live stream. But basically what they're saying is that the reason that they said, okay, there's an article in the New York Times that I read, and then I read a study. It's called the Fragile Family Study. And that study is a longitudinal study for like 20-something years or 30 years. It's got like 30, 40, something, 50,000 people in it, 50 families. And basically what they found in this study is that, so surprising is that, children that have fathers in the home and neighborhoods that have fathers in the home produce the most productive children. What a surprise, right? Well, also in this New York Times article, New York Times study that I read, it talked about Black boys and Black men who come from affluent families, who come from rich families. They said that they too also have problems, quote unquote, they don't say chasing power, but they kind of fall off financially. And they said that doesn't happen for Black women. And what they discovered is that it's because Black fathers are not only not in the homes, but Black fathers aren't in the neighborhoods. And what they said is that statistically speaking, it's more important for Black men to live in a neighborhood where Black fathers are present than to actually have a Black father in the home themselves. Meaning that if I've got my own father, and I live in a home, but I live in the hood and nobody else in the neighborhood has fathers in the homes, then I'm going to be more likely to fall off than if I don't have a father in the home, but I live in a neighborhood where you have Black fathers in the home. So
that's pretty deep. And you don't really think about that when you're actually growing up and looking around, but I actually believe that that's true. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'll drop some links on that. It is. It's quite surprising to hear that, but when you hear it, it just rings true. So that was my third point. My fourth point is part of this. One of the statistics that they actually said about this was that for males to have success, one of the markers that they would say is that if you live in a neighborhood that only has a 10% poverty rate, but it has a 51%, and it has a 51% fathers in the home rate, meaning, more than half the dads are in the home, and it only has a 10% poverty rate, that those boys, whether they be Black or white, are going to have massive success. But what they found was 61% of Black boys or 61% of white boys live in those neighborhoods. And it's only 5% for Black boys. So again, it's these fathers in the home. And then part of that too is racism. If a Black kid is raised in a neighborhood and they got to deal with white racism a lot, that makes an impact too. But it really just comes down to having fathers in the home, and not just in our home, but in the neighborhoods of fathers in the home. And that had always been kind of obvious to me that you can't compete like that. Like I live in the suburbs, and everybody with kids in my everybody with kids in my neighborhood is married, like that I can see in a 2-block radius that I see, except for one woman. She's a school teacher, by the way, but the rest of them, like, I'm into basketball. My neighbor, he's into baseball. One of my neighbors is a dentist. And what I mean in the baseball, he got like a batting cage and a pitching machine. He's trying to get his kids to go pro. So, my daughter, when she gets older, she's going to work out there. I'm going to be training his boys with basketball. The neighbor down the street, he's a dentist. He's got commercials on TV, all the time. And so I can, bring my daughter to him and talk to him because we got kids the same age about getting her in a dentistry school if maybe that's something that she wants to do, because we're about accruing power. We're about men working together to achieve massive success. So, so why do men chase pussy? Well, if you don't have a father, even if you do have a father in the home, you're going to get distracted by the other kids in the neighborhood who don't have fathers in the home. And then what do they talk about? That famous marshmallow test. One of the strongest ways to figure out if your child is going to have success in life is to give them a marshmallow test. And this is what they teach in psychology, like 100-level psychology classes. Everybody knows this. That you give a kid a marshmallow, or you offer them a marshmallow, and you say, if I give you a marshmallow and you don't eat it now, I'll give you 3 tomorrow. And the kid that goes, I'll just save it and just get the 3 marshmallows to get tomorrow. That's a much better deal. Those kids will have a lot. They say those kids will have much more success than a kid who says, no, I'm going to just eat the marshmallow now, because it's about delayed gratification. But, you think about that and you go, yeah, well, if you're raised in a poor neighborhood and you don't have a lot of kids never even seen a pantry before, where they got a whole, room full of food that, with junk food and dry foods and canned foods. They have never seen that before. And you offer them a marshmallow, they go to school hungry. Of course they're going to take that. The kid that grows up in a 2-parent home with a double income, and not only do they have a pantry every home they go to in the neighborhood, they have a pantry, that's going to be nothing for them to delay that gratification. So again, David and Roger, man, we're all hitting on the same thing, man. Sisters got to want to have fathers in the home. If we want to win as a community, which sisters don't, it's obvious they don't. They want to, intersectional feminism, black girl magic, and 100,000 women getting jobs at Google. Like, that's going to work out in the long run for the community. If we really want to get this right, then just get a fucking father in the home. Get a neighborhood full of fathers. You can't even find a neighborhood that's got 10% poverty and has got 51% of black fathers in the home. Now think about that. And it's not the men pushing for that. Most black men want to get married. They want to have families. They want to be around other married men so we can kick ass as a group together. But the women aren't on board with that.
Facts. Wait, can I ask True something? True, let me ask you some real quick question. First of all, I agree, because we always say women want instant gratification. They wouldn't wait and hold the 1 marshmallow to get the 3. So it only makes sense they would teach the son that. No, we're just saying, because that's not coincidental. We say that. We say women want instant gratification. So it would only make sense that they would have sons around here that would want that. And it's not an attack. It's understanding what's being done to you psychologically. One of the reasons why we can never get to the answers is because when we point out how they're utilizing the psychological angles through women, the first thing they go right past the psychological process of we're saying has been done to them and go right into defense mode. Now, I like to ask Truth this. Truth, would you say it's systematic as well? Would you say all this is systematic?
Well, it seems like it's becoming more systematic because we're putting in a policy, these feminist policies. I think
no,
it's been systematic because we've had these feminist policies for a long time. Yeah, hell yeah, it's systematic and it's cultural. So it's like we really don't have a fighting. You don't have a fighting chance when the culture wants one thing and the policies want one thing. Then we can get on YouTube and and try to talk to people, and then they laugh behind our backs and say them niggas are stupid, thinking we're going to change. So yeah, it's definitely systematic.
And listen, so listen, ladies, wait, one more quick one. So ladies, listen. This is I always notice one thing about black folks, the key points, we hopscotch over them. And I've learned, keep reiterating them. Ladies, there is a psychological process for a purpose, for a cause, to keep you and your people down, and they are utilizing you. The moment you can accept this is not an attack, this is just understanding how strategy works. This is a strategy going on to keep certain groups of people at a permanent underclass. This is a strategy.
Yeah.
Get out of your feelings, get out of that
David,
defense mode.
I
Just
live
understand
by
what's happening.
I live by that notion, so I don't need you to take it slow for me and explain it. I know what it is.
But not for you, Concrete.
I don't see that,
The
David.
people
I
who
want to give
don't
you some
know.
pushback on that, David. I don't see that.
What-
Now,
what-
I know you got Gloria
True,
Steinem, and you
can
got.
I say something? Let me say something real quick, because I'm gonna have to go silent for a bit, because I'm actually gonna stay.
You got it. You got
I was gonna have to go, but I'm gonna stay for a minute. I'm gonna this is a key thing that goes on, because a lot of people don't think about the lazy folk. Every group in society got their section of lazy people, right? You know what I'm saying? Just totally unproductive people. But you got people who are productive that want to be lazy. Other groups of women simply require more. There's men who really want to be lazy in other communities, but they can't be lazy and still get a woman. Therefore, they must produce. When you talk about Black America, there's no pressure for a man to produce. You don't have to produce to get women. You know what I'm saying? The only way men feel any type of social pressure is amongst other men. Men don't like to be around other men performing and you be the only guy not performing. Men don't like that. You know what I'm saying? We don't like to feel small and things like that. We respect men that have accomplished something. I'm always respecting a man who's done more than me, but no man really wants to feel small. But in our community, you know what I'm saying? There is no penalty for not producing. In other communities, there is a penalty. You don't get access to women. And I'm not saying women should be any man's main motivation, but I'm saying even for the lazy man, he'll work because he still won't access to some pussy. Our community, you ain't never got to worry about that. If you do nothing, you gonna get some pussy. Don't you worry about that. You know what I'm saying? You do not have to get a job. You don't have to have a business. You ain't never got to go to no military. And you definitely don't have to go to college, get no pussy in the Black community. And because that's not going to change. Even the lazy section doesn't have to perform.
Well, let me say this right quick. In LA, I don't know how it was anywhere else. In LA, you had to have your shit together. I'm not saying, of course, there's outliers, but in LA, when I grew up, the dude who didn't have shit, he didn't get shit.
Well, I would say this, David, or you and Concrete. I want to say this too. A lot of people say, well, it's white supremacy is driving the system, and it's white supremacy that wants to turn Black women against Black men. It's this feminist agenda where they're pulling the strings, this marionette, and playing mind games on people. And you hear about Gloria Steinem working for the CIA, and you're like, well, shit, maybe that's true. But I graduated from a university, a left-wing liberal university. I took feminist classes, and they never talked about breaking up families, for themselves or none of that shit. That's like considered. Well, here, but let me finish what I'm saying though, because what has happened, what it looks like to me is that maybe that's true, because maybe that was true to a certain degree. But what white people said was, they said, that's radical feminism. Like, we get that you're making some valid points, we get it, but that's radical feminism. We don't fuck with radical feminism. And Black women said, radical feminism, why don't we just take that and make it mainstream feminism? So now it's like Roger's saying, now women, what they do is they've normalized being strong and independent, and I could be the mama and the daddy, and and niggas ain't shit, and we don't need you. And then but what they end up doing is having, like Roger said, having babies with compromised men first, and then looking to find an established man to be a stepdad or get married, even if they don't have kids, to get married later in life. Then you have a lot of Black men who would like to have a family, but they feel like, I'm going to get married when I'm 42. I got to wait till I'm 42. I mean, you got women on YouTube saying that, well, the younger man, they should just be sleeping with old ladies, and the old men, they should be going with the younger women. And it's
Well, I
like
want
that's
to respond before we get too deep, truth. I know we got to let Webb's World in too, but I wanted to say that it's not that overt, and I think that feminism, that during its original inception, that was part of the purpose of feminism. That there are three waves of feminism. Yes, modern wave three. We talked about feminism on our last show, and it was a really, really good a good panel. But modern feminism, the third wave of feminism, does not focus on ensuring that the Black family is separated. So yes, you are correct in that aspect. I do think that Black women bought into it hook, line, and sinker. They wanted to feel empowered. They wanted to elevate themselves above their men. They did that, and they're still doing that today. They normalized it, and so their daughters are being raised with the notion that it's okay to do that. So I agree with you, but there are three waves of feminism. I don't think that even if when you study feminism, you're studying the history of feminism. They're not going to come directly out and talk about, Susan B. Anthony and her desire to ensure that Black babies were aborted. They're not going to come. I mean, come on, we're talking about sanitized history in this. We're taught a sanitized version of history in this country. So
that's a
there
conspiracy
shouldn't be
theory.
an
That's not
expectation.
true.
No, that's not a conspiracy theory. Like,
It is.
seriously, come on.
Well, hold on.
I mean, what
She
am I
wasn't a
saying?
race. She wasn't like a white supremacist, though. That's not true.
What
When you're
evidence do you
asking
have that
for
she
the
wasn't? What would your motivation be to ensure that Black babies are aborted if you're not a white
Well,
supremacist?
she was asking for white babies to be aborted too. It wasn't only Black babies; it was also white babies because she was a eugenicist. That's where she went wrong.
Yeah,
But they got that letter with MLK, and they twisted around that meeting. I don't know if you even heard it. They've got a letter with her and MLK, and she wrote to him, and she was saying some things in the letter. And if you just read the letter, it can make you think she was like a white supremacist. But
Susan B. Anthony definitely was a known racist. Like there's I've never heard anyone argue that she wasn't a racist. This is a first. But nonetheless, I don't want to.
No, look it up. Just look it up. They've got actually scholarly articles on that.
That's news to me. But I don't want to get bogged down in
no, I'm not talking about Susan B. Anthony. I'm talking about the who is it? The Planned Parenthood
Margaret
woman.
Sanger.
Yeah, Margaret Sanger. That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry, yeah, Susan B. Anthony started the suffrage movement. I'm talking about Margaret Sanger. Excuse me, my apologies. You're the first person I've ever heard that say that she's not a racist. So that's news to me. I didn't know anything about any letter that she wrote to MLK, but I don't want to get into the weeds as it relates to my point. I just wanted to say that they're not going to come directly. I mean, I don't even have the expectation that when we're taught history that they're telling us the unfiltered truth as it relates to it. But I wanted to let not Webb's World in, but I wanted to give David Johnson a chance to respond if he wanted to your last comment.
I'm going to get running. I just want to say thanks for having me on. I'm out of here later.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Really good points you brought to the panel. Really, really good points. Really good stuff. Not Webb's World. What do you have?
Oh, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a good day so far.
Yeah.
Look, I was just sitting here and enjoying, digesting everything everyone was saying, and everybody was hitting every nail that needed to be hit. But one thing I just tell my own people, all that stuff is messed up. Yes, all that stuff is messed up that happened to us, this, that, and the third, systematic racism. We don't want to talk about the big A word, accountability. All right. We as a people don't do the necessary things we need to do to hold people accountable.
Facts.
Like, for example, like I've always told this, like I just buried my uncle. I love him to death. Like, rest in peace, Pops, all of that shit. All his kids is fighting for his stuff. And my cousin, who's his granddaughter, is sitting here like, why are they doing this? They don't understand this, that, and the third. I'm like, look, your relationship with your grandfather is completely different than the relationship he had with his children. And the number one thing you need to understand, we are also to blame for this. We always opened up our home for this man, opened up a plate of food for this man. But at the end of the day, we all knew he wasn't raising his children. Why didn't we step up and say something about that? And now the man gone and all his children is fighting over his possessions because they don't look at it like how we look at it. We don't look at that. They don't look at it like Pop's truck. They look at it as a truck. You know what I'm saying? So the number one thing is I tell my own people is that If we truly want to get rid of a problem, do we hold ourselves accountable? Do we punish the bad behaviors in our community? Because, like, I remember I came on this show a couple days ago, and I was over here flabbergasted that a dude, like, everybody was coming at me for defending Russell Wilson. I'm like, bro, ain't this what we supposed to be doing? Like, we all know that Future ain't a good father. Shouldn't we want black boys to have a good father figure in the household so he doesn't end up a criminal, so he doesn't end up misguided, so he doesn't end up trying to figure out his place in this world? What's the problem with that? But that's what we don't do. We don't say, you know what, I'm not listening to that guy. I'm not listening to that artist. I'm not supporting that artist because I know who he is as a man. And I can't allow you to have a platform and you're going to indulge in misogyny. You're going to indulge in behaviors that if our people in our community mirror, it's problematic. We think it's funny when Future gets another girl pregnant and keeps it pushing. It's Future, but nobody thinks that's funny when your cousin is calling you talking about some, yeah, man, I got baby number 9 on the way. Ain't nobody think that's funny. You don't think it's funny in your household, so why you think it's funny when you watching it on Twitter? Why you watching it on Instagram? Why you watching it wherever you want to watch it? You know? So my thing is, as a people, do we truly hold ourselves to the accountability? And another thing, we don't address the things that make us uncomfortable. We don't want to build for our community because that shit takes time. I believe I don't want to not give credit to the brother, but one of the brothers has spoke up on that women want instant gratification. I'll add to that. It's not just the fact they want instant gratification. It's also they don't want to go away from something and build it up. What I mean is, why would I go out there and drill for oil, convert it to crude oil, convert it to gasoline, when I can just go to the Hess station up the street? Like, you don't, as much as we don't look at that as a problem, I'm like, well, you're taking the dollar out of our community. You're not, and you're showing this to your children that it's okay to not recycle our dollar into our community. Do we say, hey man, you ain't supposed to be doing that? Do we call each other out for that? No, we don't do that. Because a lot of these things makes us uncomfortable. And another thing, we don't like to do stuff unless we can get something from it. Sometimes my grandfather, I love him to death, rest in peace. He told me you don't do things for the right price. You do things simply because it's the right thing to do. And are we teaching that to our children? No, we're not teaching autonomy. We're not teaching group economics. We're not teaching respect for our people. And then we wondering why black boys don't respect us. Why black men don't do this? Why black women always coming for our necks? Well, they haven't been taught their whole life to respect you. They haven't been taught their whole life to build up their community. And as far as young boys, black men prioritizing pussy, I don't think I need to say it again, where it's basically, we are not taught to prioritize autonomy. Because anything a black man does, if you tell him to do it as a child and he keeps that in his heart up until an adult, that's who he is. Because I've always told this to my brothers, you cannot tell me that we can teach children a magical white man can walk on water and live in the Middle East, and that is almost gospel in our community. Like, ain't nobody gonna say that's not true. But you telling me it's pulling teeth to tell your black son, your black daughter, hey, I know they have a deal over there at the Asian store, but just go pay full price at the black store? That's pulling teeth? Like, I didn't think that was pulling teeth. So it's a lot of things that we need to start addressing. We need to start holding ourselves accountable for. We can't just sit here and say, oh, man, you know, systematic racism, you know what I'm saying, black feminism, they going against each other. Well, I tell black feminists all the time, do you dismantle the things that disrespect you? And even when it comes to Future, I don't even talk about Future. Who's the person who paid Future? Future was nobody when he came up. Somebody had to give him a check. Y'all coming for him? Most of y'all don't come for the owner of Def Jam. It's easier to come for the artist. We don't want to say that because that makes people uncomfortable. We don't want to say, oh, this white man is pushing this black image this negative black image on our boys. No, we want to say the rapper doing that. And even though I did bring up Future earlier, I'm only saying this because at the end of the day, more people are going to subscribe to him than they are going to subscribe to the person who picks up his check. And the person who signs his check is not going to sign him a check if he's saying, you know what, that same audience that was just checking for you last month, they're not checking for you this month. It's all about us taking responsibility as a people, not as black fathers, black mothers, black people, and getting rid of the negativity in our community that creates these problems, that creates these negative thought processes, that creates this strayed way of thinking. And we need to do it not just because we're going to get something from it. Simply just do it because it's the right thing to do. And yes, we're going to get something from it. But at the end of the day, you should want to do something because it's right. You should want to tell your children to build in their community so they go 5 minutes to work instead of 20 minutes to work. You should tell children that. We should make that our responsibility. We should not be indulging in all of the negative behaviors that ultimately recycle all the negative outcomes that we sit here and have a problem with. Like, I ask black women, all black feminists all the time, like, name the black TV show right now that promotes respect for black people. Go ahead, name one. You can't name it. You can't name one.
Well, you know what? You make a lot of good points, but that's the whole issue with why you have to have these kids being raised by their fathers. If you had them kids raised by their fathers, all this stuff wouldn't be going on in the first place.
No, you're right.
Black women are not finna stand up to no white man. That ain't about to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
Not on any kind of large scale. That's never. Well, I ain't gonna say never. You never know. 300 years from now, who knows what's going on? But right now, in this climate, black women ain't finna stand up to no white man. So hell yeah, they're gonna attack you before they attack the person who owns the company. They're gonna attack you as an artist first. Of course they are. They own the same team. If you're a white supremacist, you're not gonna attack the white guy because that's your team.
About black women, it's black men who are talking about how awful Future is, not black women.
I agree.
I understand that, but what are black men saying? Black men are saying he's not being a good example. You shouldn't just be spreading your seed all over the place. But the one thing with Future is that he actually can't afford to do it. It ain't the best way to raise no kids because your kids are not in the same home, but Future actually can pay for it. What black men normally say is people who act like Future that don't got Future's money. That's what I hear on a regular basis. You acting like Future, but you ain't got Future money. You know what I'm saying? Which turns into a problem.
Making that distinction in this space. They talk about.
I've heard it. I'm not gonna say what you heard, but I've heard it plenty. And then on top of that, the thing is, where do these guys learn to be this way? They come from single parent homes. They learning this from their mom. They mama think it's totally fine to not have a husband. It's totally fine not to be in a relationship. It's totally fine to raise kids on your own without no father being present. They just copying at the end of the day. And at some point in time, you gotta stop copying. And that's why I say all the time, it ain't about what you. I say you gotta hold people accountable for what they believe. Everybody got a choice to believe whatever nonsense they want to or whatever real stuff they want to. We all came to our own conclusion for whatever reason. You made it to 18. Some people change religions. Some people change jobs. Some people change whole fields. Some people go into one field, then they change their mind, they go into a whole different field. You got to hold the people accountable for what they believe in because that was their choice at the end of the day. Now, when it comes down to it, women need to be led by men, period, because that has always been successful. And if women refuse to be led, i.e. women without husbands, then you're the problem. I can't blame men that you're not following for what that man didn't do in your life. If you're rebelling against the man, and any woman who has a child by a man who's not with that man, and that man ain't dead or something like that, you're in rebellion. Now I will give him respect for if you was married and the guy cheated on you, I'll give you that because you can show me that he didn't keep up his vow. But if you don't have that going on and that man ain't dead, you're in rebellion to the man you had a child with. So therefore, you're in the wrong. Period.
Well, let me ask this. This is the thing.
Okay, David. After your comment, we're actually going to move the process to close it down. This is an intriguing conversation, but I want to hear your question. Go ahead, David.
Okay. What I always ask people is the key to dealing with human beings. This is weird to me. Like, I came to this space big on psychology, and it is amazing to me that we talk about it, but I guess it shouldn't be. It's amazing to me how we talk about so many things round and round, 3, 4, 5 different ways, but we never get into the psychosis, the psyche, the psychology parts of it. When in all actuality, it's the mind that controls a person. Meanwhile, we very seldom like to touch anything dealing with psychological conditioning. Like I said, even when you mention it, the thought of it, most people shun it. When you start telling Black folks to get therapy, psychological therapy, they
Stay
see that
free,
as
bro.
weak. They see that as weak. They see that as stupid. They see that as white folk stuff. Meanwhile, that's exactly the goddamn problem. It's the way you think. It's the way we think. Meanwhile, we never take any goddamn time to deal with our minds. Shit is amazing to me. Y'all got it.
Nah, you right. Nah,
Thank
I'm one thing
you,
I'm not gonna
Bro
say is you
David.
incorrect. I just want to
Go
say this last thing.
go ahead,
And
Websworld.
you know what I'm saying? No, it's like when you said with the fathers, and that's why I had mentioned my story with my uncle and my family. Is like we want fathers to be in the household, but from a family perspective, okay, cool. If you know your cousin got a child, and we done been to so many cookouts and family get-togethers, you see him, but barely see his son, and y'all keep giving him an invitation. Y'all are see Kevin Gates, and I don't want to get too off topic, but Kevin Gates said, "Look, bro, let me tell y'all something. When you doing wrong out here, it's not about you doing wrong the first time or the second time, but we are creatures of habit. So eventually, we're going to keep letting things slide to the point where he says, "Well, I don't have to raise my son, and my family will still accept me." If that were to be nipped in the bud right there, and I'm not saying that Black women don't have a hand in fatherless America, because they have a really big hand in fatherless America, but I said it takes a village for a reason. If my family ain't there to check me first and they continue in my behaviors, how am I supposed to just learn from the world? Oh, you ain't supposed to be doing this. When the first people who's teaching me how to operate in this world was saying we ain't got no problem with it. So y'all brothers was hitting it on the head when we say we have internalized so many things in our mind for us to basically reiterate, like to keep reoccurring these like keep having reoccurring problems. But at some point, us as a people got to step up and say, you know what, bro? I'm not gonna allow you to keep coming here and you don't raise your son. I'm not gonna allow you to talk crazy about your son's father in front of him, because that he's gonna internalize that. I'm not gonna sit here and allow you to think, oh, you can't find a man because you got a child, when in reality, a man wants a woman who's doing more when she has a child. We don't want you to be operating at the same space as a girl with no child. Because I might as well just start a family with a girl with no child than start a family with a girl with a child. And the girl with a child need to have something that the girl with no child ain't even smelling right now. So it takes us as a people to literally say, you know what, G? Even though this is a you and you situation, you are my family, and I'm going to give you my input. You moving sloppy. I need to, and you can't keep doing that and keep coming around here and exposing that to our kids and our young ones, because this the next generation coming up. And if they think this shit is okay, then the generation after them gonna think this shit is okay.
Well, good, great points, Webb's World. Very, very, very solid points. I agree, especially with the last point that you made as it relates to ensuring that we check those that are closest to us, those in our circles. Like that's how you start to make a difference. You have conversations with those who you can directly influence. I think that's of utmost importance. But we got a super chat from bro Kenny Conjo. He said, "Hey ladies, just coming through to show love. Keep doing your thing. Wednesday evening greetings, everyone." Thank you,
What
Kenny.
up,
We
Kenny?
appreciate you, bro. We're going to start the process to go ahead and shut it down. I'm actually going to throw it back over to Webb's World 1, and then we'll have bro David Johnson.
All right. Basically, what us as a people, because all of our brothers have basically explained all of the psychological traumas and all of the psychological strategies used to derail our people. And the number one thing is, even if you know all of these things, if you're not going to start moving in stride to fix these problems, that don't mean nothing. I tell my brothers all the time, we talk about systematic racism, this, that, and the third, but I'm like, bro, what we doing? Are we creating autonomy for our people? We talking about how we don't like working for these niggas, but we but we not figuring about what opportunities we can create for our own people. So at the same time, it's one thing we can point the finger at whoever the hell you want to point the finger at. I really don't give a damn. But you need to hold them accountable. You can't allow them people to say, oh, you cannot allow them to have an opinion and their actions don't line up with that opinion. You know what I mean? You cannot have them going around in these streets talking about the reason why his dad ain't there is because he's a bum ass nigga. No, he don't want to pay your bills. And us as a people, we need to start calling out people's bullshit and stop letting it soak into them and just shrugging it off because, oh, that's not my business. I'm not making no money off of that. Or I need to mind the business that pays me. Nah, because at the end of the day, we need to start making stuff that's our business that we don't necessarily gain from our business, because that's going to ultimately produce gains for us in the future. Because the day we start checking people for being fucked up 10, 20 years, we not going to have black women wondering why ain't no black men in the household. We not going to have black men wondering why I can't see my son, or my daughter, excuse me, because I do equality around here. So it takes us as a people to acknowledge the problems and start moving in stride to fix said problems and holding each other accountable. Because to sit here with our arms shrugged, talking about harumph, this world ain't fair, systematic racism and feminism, this, that, and the third, all y'all are right. But it don't mean shit if you not gonna check your cousin who gonna not raise his son. It don't mean nothing if you're gonna allow your auntie to go around thinking she don't need to have a father figure for her children. Don't mean shit. But I'm gonna let y'all speak.
Web's World, thank you so much for coming through. Y'all dropping some gems up in here today. This was a good show. We appreciate you coming through and hanging out with us today. Bro David, what are your final thoughts?
Thanks for having me, ladies. Salute to the bros. Y'all did drop some heat. That was good heat.
Yeah.
I like to just first off, back to what we're saying, we do need to start ostracizing people, but that's another conversation. I won't get into that today, but that's how we do it. According to the Bible, y'all know I'm an Israelite. And one of the things the Bible says, many Jews in there, it says, if you rebuke a wise man, he will love thee and become wiser. But if you rebuke a fool, he will hate thee. And that's how I'm able to find out who's smart and who's dumb. If I tell you some correction, or I give you some type of corrective, instruction, and you hate me for it, then I know you're a fool. If you take it and build on it and you come back and thank me, then I know you're a wise man. And I would encourage all brothers, take power over pussycat. Because just in case you didn't know, power brings pussycat. I would hope that your whole claim to fame ain't some old funky hole, but if that is your thing, please know that getting the power will bring you more than that. And I would much rather you bros have the power and then getting the women versus getting the women negating the power. And one thing I'm gonna say, and I'm done, I keep saying this, y'all, you niggers keep sleeping on it. Go get a mental tune-up. Go study and find out all the mental blocks. Go back to your childhood, talk to some people, learn how to reflect and go back and be able to remove all those blocks that are stagnating your movement. I'm gonna stress that one more time. Go get your goddamn minds together, black women and black men. Y'all are
Yes.
not fine. Y'all are not okay. Y'all are sick. And it's about goddamn time, like the brother just said, we quit lying about it, because lying about it has us effed up. On that note, check and mate, deuces.
Check and mate. Check and
Peace.
mate. Thanks, David, for coming through.
Absolutely. Always come and add a dope contribution to whatever conversation we're having. We appreciate you, bro, David. Webb's World as well. Drop some killer gems. So last but not least is Brother Roger Report.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, look, men should be chasing power. Period. That's just what it comes down to. Every dollar is power. Everything that you have the ability to do, and you can make some money on it, as long as you can do it where you feel okay morally, go ahead and get that money. Period. Because when it comes to women, women are fickle, and it doesn't make a difference what you achieve when it comes to certain women. There are good women out there, and you can tell they're good women because they still married. It's very easy to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Women get with a guy. You know what I'm saying? Now, if the guy don't believe in marriage, the woman been with him forever and a day. Okay? So it's women that can claim that they're a good woman. But if you don't have a man to prove it, I don't believe you. I'm just keeping it real. And I know a lot of women say that, people say all this stuff and they blame black women for the community's downfall and blah, blah, blah. Hey, at the end of the day, I don't mind holding men accountable. Men get held accountable anyway, because guess what? Unproductive men going to end up in prison. They're going to end up dead, or they're going to end up homeless. That's what happens if you're a black man and you're unaccountable. So you're going to have to deal with that regardless. That's why you got so many homosexuals right now, because they're trying to avoid homelessness, because they're technically homeless already. Now, when it comes to women who want to say, well, y'all need to talk to the men, sure, I'll talk to your husband. Do you have a man for me to talk to? Okay? Because if you ain't got no man for me to talk to, why you think I need to talk to a man? Men know how to get on point. Men know how to do what it takes. When men have women, they even usually perform at a higher level because they know more is called upon them. But if you're a woman, especially a woman with children, and you ain't got no man, how you going to dare open your mouth and say men need to get it together? You sound like a fool. I ain't going to say you're a fool, but you sound like one. Don't tell a man to hold a man accountable unless you have a man. That's who we're supposed to talk to and say, look, bro, why you doing this? You got a family. You need to do this, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure, men can have that conversation. But how am I going to have that conversation with a woman who ain't got nothing but kids and no husband? This sounds asinine. If you don't want to be blamed for anything, and I totally get that. It's not in human nature to want to be blamed. You need a shield. Your shield is your husband. If you ain't got one, that's your fault. That ain't got nothing to do with the men. Men been trying to get with you since we don't know when. And I even know about how, people say this thing about how black women are fat and all this other type of stuff. And I say all the time, black women got 4 basic problems that black men have issues with them. Bad attitudes, being overweight, too much debt, too many kids. Before you got to any of those places, you still was a person. And I know women who are older, you may not look as good. Maybe you got a couple kids and all that. But there was a point in your life when that wasn't the case. You were in better shape 9 times out of 10 when you were young. You should have got a husband then. And if you wasted all your time and didn't get one, how you going to blame everybody else for that? You turned the people down that was good enough to be one. And if you couldn't get one that was good enough, you didn't do something to attract the man that was good enough. That's your own fault at the end of the day. If you want men to be held accountable for the black community, how about you have a man so we can look at him instead of you? All right, that's it for me. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank
Roger.
you, brother, and long live the habitual line steppers, because that's what we do.
He always coming in stepping on toes, though. Lord have mercy. Thank you, Roger.
Shout out to Fantastic.
How triggering it was. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Danny.
Shout out to Mr. Fantastic. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. He said, the cat ain't got no power here. You shall not pass We win.
Oh my God, bye. I just understood what this fool was trying to say. You know what? Good night. Yeah, thank you. Fantastic. We appreciate you.
I can't. Mac, what's up, chickie?
Hey, ladies, long
Hey,
time.
Mac.
I know. Where you been?
Everywhere and nowhere.
Cheating on us with Clubhouse raggedy ass.
No, she's just been busy. But she hasn't even been on there like that, surprisingly.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta for the last
Back
month.
on y'all ass,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, I was in
Well, what
Atlanta
do
for
you
the
have?
last month. So
I wanted to know. I don't know how much you heard about the conversation, how much of the conversation you heard, but I wanted to know if you did hear any of it, what your thoughts were on the conversation, because the men were like, they were taking some shots before they hopped off this dang on panel, and or if you did not hear what the men had to say, what you think about the topic.
I didn't really get to hear everything. I didn't really get to hear much of what the men had to say. I just caught like some of the tail end of the speakers as they were stepping off the stage, and whoever the guy that was saying men need to get their mental checked out. I kind of agree with everything he said, and you know,
he gonna come correct you. I'm sorry. He said Black people need to get their mental checked out.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I kind of agree with everything he had to say, and I do think that you know, the cat will come chasing the power. I think I've alluded earlier. I was in the pre-conversation y'all had in Clubhouse that, you know, cat is either one of two things. It's the thing that the men who don't have power chase, or it's the motivating factor which men use to chase power to go back and you know, get the cat. So the cat plays its part no matter what. But I do think that there's a greater reward in chasing the power than being the person that's just professional at chasing the cat, but don't have that same, you know, chase or desire to chase anything else. So I think you get the better pull with chasing the power. That's all I got, really, in short.
Great points, though. I agree with what you said. It's somewhere in there. If it's not necessarily the motivating factor, it plays its part, and that's a good ending comment. So we appreciate you. Thank you for stopping through. We definitely appreciate you. Don't be a stranger.
Yes.
We got some interesting stuff coming up. So definitely, if you're available, stop by and check us out.
Yes, I'm gonna be hopping back in because I know you guys are doing a lot of good things now and have been doing a lot on the platform, and I've been a little busy, but I'm gonna be trying to stay on board and hopping in now on Sundays and stuff.
Okay, but we appreciate you. Thank you. Enjoy your night.
Thank you, Mac. Fantastic.
I know he came up here to say something slick or nasty or both. Hello.
Oh, it's on me?
Yeah, it's on you.
Well, just for the record, sisters, greatly appreciate you guys letting me come up here. I was running the show while you guys were running the show. My bad. That's why I wasn't over to support, but I want to make sure I come through some more support.
Thank you.
And, you know, hear this wonderful word from one of the, I think one of the, you know, cat power proponents. Just real quick. Let me cue up this audio for y'all. Okay. Let me see what she got to say about it. Let's see what she got to say. Okay. Fair use, just on the audio. Okay.
It was so good. And then she started rocking. She just got into it, and all of a sudden, she said something just hit him, bam, all upside his head. Just slapped him. Dick will make you slap somebody.
Okay, and again. So I mean, a woman is saying this. A woman that had a show called Vagina Power, and again, I'm not saying that I done been slapped or maybe even punched. I that's not me. You know me. I don't get no. I'm a virgin. You know, I don't know nothing about no vagina. So again, man, listen, okay, brothers, you have the power. Okay, remember that song? I got the power. That's you, brother. All right? We run this shit. Okay, don't be out here letting this amateur cat. You know what I'm saying? what I'm saying? Control you out here, man. You gotta be in control, brother. You know what I'm saying? But hey, greatly appreciate y'all for everything y'all do for this space. Two wonderful ladies with a great perspective, man. I just want to come through, show a little bit of love, drop some coins. Hit y'all with the Cash App too, because Google take that 30%. So y'all remember that whatever y'all give people to what's name, I'm gonna hit y'all with the 30% that Google stole. Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you, Fantastic. We appreciate
thank you,
it. Thanks for
Fantastic.
stopping through and showing love. And that was funny. That was a lie, but it was funny.
Hey,
Concrete, speak for yourself, baby. Speak for yourself. Girl.
I don't know what y'all be talking about, but go ahead.
You shouldn't say that. I don't really know how to get into that, but we like to thank everybody so much for coming through. Yeah. This was an excellent discussion. Wait, I'm gonna read this. He said,
"Oh, you know what? King runs this car, not Kitty." Oh my gosh. So y'all say, I don't know how we would ever be able to put that argument to rest. But it used to be a man's world, but guess what? Now it's a woman's world. So I'm going to go with the notion that women run it,
girl, should we end the show on who runs the world?
You know what? I don't want our stream to get flagged, but women run it clearly. But thank you for everybody who contributed to the conversation. Very, very good conversation. Some great points were made. There was something that I wanted to say really, really quickly. And even Truth, and me and Truth have a hate relationship. But he came through and he definitely dropped some
always
knowledge.
Forget that y'all don't have.
Oh, yes. I was cringing because I'm like, am I about to have to get into it tonight? Like, I don't feel like arguing.
Baby, I thought the unicorn Keisha was on her way, baby. Oh shit, brace for cover.
I held it together, but nonetheless, like I'll give credit where credit is due. He definitely has some great points. Like, I have no problem with saying that Black women need to be held accountable, but the issue that I see in this space is men point the finger all day, and I was feeling some type of way about Roger too, because even the comment that was made that wasn't even relating to women that Webb's World made, he automatically brought it back to women, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like if 99.9999999% of your arguments is geared towards women and their lack of accountability, and then you have 0.1% geared towards men, then I see like it's going to be hard for me to believe that you have any credibility, because there is work to be done on both sides. Black women have a ton of work to be done, and I focus on Black women, but I'm gonna need Black men to focus on the work that Black men got to do, because it's not all good over there. There is still work that Black men have to do too, and that's what drives me insane. Nonetheless, though, I wanted to say something really, really quickly, and I'm not gonna hold it. I was kind of like shocked that Truth was defending Margaret Sanger and her racist.
You wasn't gonna let it go. Go ahead.
No, I definitely was not. The fact that Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist, however, she believed in like selective breeding. She literally, like Margaret Sanger, the statues, her name has been taken down in Washington D.C. Her name was removed because of the fact that like her racist beliefs have been exposed. Like there's so much evidence that Margaret Sanger was a racist. Like her focus on eugenics came from the fact that she believed, Black babies should not be born. Why do you think there are so many Planned Parenthoods in our neighborhoods? You don't see Planned Parenthoods in the suburbs. Margaret Sanger was a known racist, and for anybody to argue against that, I'm like, are you crazy? But nonetheless, that's my final commentary on the topic. This was dope. I enjoyed the conversation through and through. Thank you for everybody who contributed, for everyone who sent us a super chat, and for the crazy but dope chat.
The chat act like they had some sense today, honey. At least from what I'm always amazed. But no, shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to Fantastic again for the Cash App. I really, really appreciate you. Really, really good conversation, y'all. I always enjoy. We got some things coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned. And yeah, good show, Concrete. High five, girl.
Hey, we'll see y'all on Sunday.
No. We're gonna
I
see
said
y'all on Saturday because
we might
Concrete been playing.
squeeze one in on Saturday, but you guys will know. We'll see y'all this weekend. How about that? Dang.
Stop playing and come holler at these folks and talk some mess with me.
I need a break from life, but nonetheless, I'll chat.
Stop
with you.
taking on another job, Concrete. Don't take on no other projects. I got to go work with the lepers out in Jerusalem. What the hell you be doing over there?
Whatever.
Peace. Let y'all have a good night. We're out.